Just absolutely wrong. Right, we're changing up a gear a little bit here. Here is Sean Parker. Good morning, Sean.
Hello. Hi, Sonia. Good morning.
Good morning. This is another Sean Ward.
Hi, Sean.
Mr. Parker, how are you, sir?
Nice to see you. Cheers.
Sean is a writer and lecturer on art, culture and justice reform. He's also an editor of False Allegations Watch based on his own experience. Sean was imprisoned, still maintains that he was falsely imprisoned. How long were you in prison for, Sean?
I was actually there for about 4.5 years. 4.5 years in total.
And ever since, and so you really want that reviewed by the Criminal Review Board, and we all know that they're sort of not fit for purpose. The Criminal Cases Review Commission. What are your problems with the CCRC, Sean?
Well, the CCRC are, according to the CCRC Watch, which is operated by Michael Norton, as you know, who's been a brilliant guest on your show, hasn't he?
Absolutely, Professor Michael Norton. Yeah.
He's done such deep investigative work into CCRC Watch. You just do not overturn. They find it so difficult for some reason to overturn stuff unless it's extremely historical, like the post office, or very easy things like that. Well, when it comes to the really in-depth humanistic stories, like old killings and sort of sex crimes and stuff like that, they won't touch them because I think they're terrified of the tabloid media.
Really? And, that's shocking, isn't it? What about the Andy Malkinson referral? Can you tell us something about that?
Andy Malkinson is one of the most heinous miscarriages of justice, in my opinion, as the editor of False Allegations Watch, looking into his case over the last couple of years. And he's just been referred now by CCRC Watch. So good for them, probably because of all the pressure of Appeal, who were doing Andy Malkinson's case, are doing it. They brought it to CCRC Watch with enough pressure that Helen Pitcher of CCRC Watch, or whomever is in charge of that case, said, right, we're going to refer this to the Court of Appeal. 18 years ago, 2003, Andy Malkinson was convicted of the rape, violent rape of a person by motorway, something like this. And there was scratches under the fingernails, this kind of thing. The DNA evidence has been detailed carefully by Mr. Bill Robertson of CCRC Watch, is a brilliant journalist for them. All these cases, Clive Freeman, Jeremy Bamber, of course, very controversially, but you know, and Andy Malkinson, fingernails under the dirt under the fingernails, DNA evidence, it's all there. And you have to read it to know it and to be astonished by it. But it's there with Andy Malkinson too. And from everything I've read on that, he's a very innocent man. He
served 17 years in prison, right. And I think he could have been released after 6.5 years, but because he maintained I'm innocent, that doesn't allow for early release in any way, does it?
That's right. It's incredibly difficult to maintain innocence in prison. About a fifth of people in prison are. It's not half like they say in Shawshank Redemption or anything, but right. A fifth do say they are innocent of some degree of the conviction. So that doesn't always mean totally innocent. It just means that the conviction is spurious. There's something wrong with it. And because of what we've seen by CCRC Watch and by Appeal and yourself attempting to expose what's really going on with these things, then you understand that the people maintaining innocence have a very good claim. But they're terrified to go into it because the stakes are very high for their reputation.
Well, our Sean, he was dragged across the tabloids and accused of all manner of things, weren't you, Sean, from a sort of domestic violence perspective? They went after you.
Yeah, there have been many occasions the press have written about me, and you know, I spent a lot of money with my own media lawyers to kind of combat it, and in the end I decided not to respond. I think it was probably the best choice I ever made because it wasn't true. There was no court case, there was no arrest, there was no police involved. There was a really bad argument, but we ended up getting back together. It's just a very difficult thing, I think, for young men. And when it comes to something like as even worse as a rape allegation, I feel like there isn't much in place for a man to even protect himself against that sort of stuff.
No, but that brings us really to the next point of Sean's conversation here, and that is there are attempts, aren't there? Operation Soteria, So there are attempts to change the landscape in that respect, because as a woman, it is, I know, first of all, it's extremely, if for example, I was raped, and thank God I haven't been, but first of all, it's extremely difficult for women to come forward, much less be believed. But by the same token, once a man has a rape allegation against him, he's also has a real problem of being able to get rid of that. So clearly that whole system is a mess. Sean, as in Sean Parker, tell us about Operation Soteria.
Yeah, that's a good description, as you just did there. Operation Soteria is an American import by Soteria Solutions, which is an American for-profit company, which for 10 years has been commercializing the Title IX campus rape situation in America, where the academic boards will prosecute allegations on their campuses for big kind of grants from the Ministry of Justice in America. So they get rich on sexual allegations, basically, to put it in a nutshell. And now we're importing that because because the allegations are so low. As far as the activists are concerned, the allegations are low. As far as I'm concerned, when you got this 68,000 rape allegations a year, which of course, when you think about it like that, is sort of horrifying, and then 66,000 given a no further action. That means that the 2,000 are activable, but the 66,000, there's something, they're not exactly murders, are they? There's something issue about them. And when 8 out of 10 of the rapes are alleged rapes are by somebody known to the other, it makes it all not what the public see as that term. So they call everybody rapist.
People automatically, when you say somebody's been raped, they assume it's a dark alleyway, late at night, the woman has been jumped. There's always, that is the scenario, that's the narrative that we've been sold. But really, Sean, I think one of the things that you're saying is that what happens in your experience and your understanding is that it's not necessarily that a rape has taken place on every occasion, but some sort of misunderstanding between the people involved. One has taken it one way and one has taken it another.
That's exactly what's happening. But because that story is it's a nuance, and it's not very useful for the activists and the headlines.
No,
they put it all into this term, which is, of course, it's one of the most powerful words in English, isn't it? Rape. It is terrifying for everybody, the sane and the mad, But they have made, I'm afraid, the activists have made this whole term into a thing to demonize insufficiently risk-averse men. People, people like me and people who've been in business before, and when you've had a false allegation, of course, it's sort of life-destroying, as Sean knows, and loads of people that I work for now know, and I represent in writing, and I'm not doing it to protect the guilty. It's not about that. It's not about the violent rapists, who do exist, but they're a tiny number. They really are a tiny number.
Yeah, we don't want to start thinking that every man is a rapist, right? We don't want that attitude, and that is definitely prevalent out there. A lot of it is, there's a lot of misandry, and I expect there'll be clips of me just selectively cut, and they'll go, "Oh, she supports rape," and I don't support rape. That would be a ridiculous statement. But I don't support false allegations either, because that gets in the way of the real situations. That we do know false allegations happen. We know that.
And it does diminish real domestic issues or violent issues or actual problems. It really does.
It does. Not going to help anybody. One of the things that you'd said, Sean, is that you're sort of very interested in the post Johnny Depp Amber Heard landscape. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, of course, it's kind of fascinated the world because of their glamour. And, he's a highly respected actor. Many people love him. And Amber has her own charms, which, there's these two camps. But they're so emblematic of the Me Too era and the Believe the Victims, which we've been industrializing the Believe the Victims here since 2017 as well. And the problem is that that's a policy introduced by Keir Starmer. People think that he hates sort of WOMEN, excuse my stammer, for different reasons.
You mean
But he
women?
also hates men in the sense that to believe the victims means that it's the end of the due process. But they've got rid of that now. They've said we didn't mean believe the victims. So they've, at the end of all this story, you've got Mr. Depp and Miss Heard saying, having their thing on video, and people realizing that domestic violence too, not just rape, domestic violence is a nuanced thing. It's about a toxic relationship. You know, it's not good versus evil, not Beauty and the Beast. These are difficult, unfortunate situations, and they need to be taken out of the media and done in conflict resolution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it helps nobody to automatically assume that the woman is the victim and the man is the predator, the one who is creating these problems, because we know that domestic violence works in reverse. Absolutely. So these are all conversations that we need to have on a mass scale, right? Because it is still very nuanced.
It is. And I know this is, but my mum always said, be careful of a woman's scorn.
Ooh.
But I know it's not. I'm not trying to diminish what everyone goes through, but
you have to be allowed to say your piece, though. We've reached a stage in our world where even you saying that, you in your head, you're going, I must not be seen to be diminishing this, right? But the point is I don't think for a second you are diminishing it. I would imagine that you'd be out there screaming from the rafters if somebody was raped and you knew they were raped, right? So that's not it. But we're not even allowed to have this conversation, because to automatically question whether somebody was raped automatically means we're baddies. We have to get past that. We have to get past that. Sean Parker, last word to you.
Thank you. You have a fantastic TV show here. It's wonderful to watch, and especially because you work in the mainstream media and around the back of it. It is so refreshing. Operation Soteria is a real risk, and if anyone wants to find out more, have a read of False Allegations Watch on there online, and they can see all of the articles of me and everybody else who writes on there. I edit it. We put out the stories of people who aren't heard elsewhere.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
We appreciate that. Everybody, Sean Parker, take good care of yourself, Sean. Wishing you a lovely Monday.
Cheers.
Take
Cheers,
care.
mate.
Bye.
Have a great week.
Bye.